In this video, I'm going to show you how to get so many coaching clients, it literally becomes annoying. It becomes to the point where you can't fulfill them. You literally need to hire assistant coaches or shift your coaching model so you can fulfill just way more clients and you get so many. All right, so with that said, let's dive right in. This video, I'm going to really answer like one of the main problems that I see that so many coaches are doing. The problem I was doing in the past, it's this. All right, it's all about your branding. All right, so your branding. So first off, what is branding? So branding, what that is, branding is just, the association someone has with you. All right, so if you think, for example, let's think, Elon Musk, for example, what is his brand? All right, you just ask, okay, what do I associate with Elon Musk? That would probably be, Tesla, might be SpaceX, might be Doge, all right, all these things that he's doing, he's working on. All right, obviously you can also have positive or negative associations with, all those things. All right, so brand is just your perception of their associations and what that looks like. So basically what we're trying to do here is we're trying to, be strategic in as far as like what do people associate you with? All right, you as an online coach, what do they associate you with? Obviously, if you do this correctly, you can do this in a way where it becomes very powerful. So every piece of content you put out, you are like the authority in your space. All right, and here's like the big premise behind this. Like it's what I call the influence pyramid. So a big example of this, like there's basically like 3 levels of this pyramid. All right, the top is the most influential. It's who's talking. It's the most influential thing. How is the second level. So that's the second most influential thing is how you're saying something. All right, that's like your tonality, the frame, and the positioning. And least influential thing is what, like what you're actually saying, the words that you're saying. All right, it still matters, but it's not as important as who. So example of this, like let's say, you walk into a bar and there's a homeless man, saying, excuse me. All right, he just says, excuse me, like, all right, whatever, you just move to the side, whatever. All right, let's say compare that to the president says, excuse me. All right, you can say the exact same words and the exact same tonality, but he's probably gonna have a significantly different reaction because of who is saying it. All right, that's why a lot of people on social media can say the exact same content as someone else, but someone else is gonna get way more views, way more attention because of this stuff right there, because the who is different. All right, crucial for you to understand. So there's ways that you can basically elevate your who. And this is not by being fake or making things up or doing any of that. It's actually just being transparent. You have a lot of authority. You have a lot of credibility that you're just not sharing. A lot of people just don't realize, what is my credibility? Like, why should people listen to me in the first place? All right, so we're going to go over that in this video as well. So that's the first big thing you need to understand is this. All right, you can also apply this obviously like to sales calls and stuff. If you do this correctly, you frame yourself correctly with a pre-call priming video, your who should be massively elevated, and then really leverage like how you're saying things, or your tonality on the call. That's what matters by far the most, not the words you're actually saying. That's why, they say like, a good salesman can close, 2 times better than someone who just says the best script in the world. They could say the worst script in the world, but they just say it with better tonality and they're going to win every single time. So anyways, let's keep going here. So how do you actually apply this? All right. So how do you actually apply this to your branding? So all you have to do is like think about what are your top assets. All right, this is an exercise that we do with our private clients here to help them have this overnight authority branding. So there's like 3 big pools or buckets here. All right, there's you. So that's like your story, your transformation story, your past accomplishments, credentials, backgrounds, values, etc. All right, so one of the easiest ones that most people are aware of is like your own personal transformation story. So if you are selling, if you're selling a weight loss transformation, if you've lost a bunch of weight yourself, or at least if you've been fit for a long time, that'll be your story, your transformation. All right, that's something you absolutely want to share. There's also accomplishments. So let's say, I worked with a private client in the past who was basically on Men's Health magazine. So it's a pretty cool thing. It's like an accomplishment. And we had to go through this exercise. Like he never talked, I never knew this at all. No one knew it because he never shared it. But we're like kind of going through this and he mentioned, I'm like, oh dude, like that's really cool. Like I've never heard anyone who's been on that. Like, I don't know anyone who's been on that personally. And then I'm like, oh yeah, definitely like put that in your branding. Like that's like someone's on Men's Health magazine. I'm like, oh, they must be legit. Like it's just an assumption. All right, small things like that. Could also be they're on a podcast. You're on a podcast with someone big in your niche or outside your niche. All right, it's small things like that. People just don't realize are actually like credibility. All right, so really just like brainstorm this hard, like go through all this. What is different, like your transformation story, different accomplishments. Could be with things that you don't even think is that important. All right, credentials, background, values is another one. So values is unique. This is like sharing what your personal values are in life. So for example, like for me, I might share in my content how like family is important to me. So like for example, like my wife made me this mug. It says blessed on it. It's pretty cool. So shout out to my wifey. I don't think she's gonna be watching this, but shout out to you if you are. But that being an example right there, sharing what's important to you. When you do that, when you share your values, it's actually one of the quickest ways to build trust. Or if you think of when you meet people for the first time, there's some people you like hit it off with really quick, and for some reason you just trust this person. There's also people that you've known for a while, but for some reason you don't really trust them. Right? Usually, like why that is a mismatch in values. If they see the world differently than you, it's harder to trust them. If they see the world the same as you or very similar to you, it's much easier to trust them. All right, so values. So sharing values in your content doesn't have to be like religious views or political. You don't have to do that stuff that can be more controversial. You can if you want. But just sharing your personal values, what actually matters to you the most, that is what builds trust very quickly. All right, so those are examples of assets right there. Social proof. All right, so this would be case studies, transformations. Peers is one as well. So like on X or on Twitter, for example, like I've met a lot of like big people in X in like the fitness space and the make money online space, and a lot of these people have become friends or peers or mentors. So just sharing things like that, even sharing like your mentors. People don't think of this, but like if you've learned from like someone who's a massive authority in their space, just saying you learn from this person actually rubs off some of their authority on you. Or it's an association. Or if for example, like think of it like this, like if someone from your high school or college, you saw them posting on their story like hanging out with Elon Musk every day, like you would instantly like start thinking like, whoa, like what is this guy up to? Like he must be doing something important. Like he's with Elon Musk, or he's with this other guy. It could be whoever we want, but just purely being associated with someone else, some of that authority rubs off on you, and that's how it works. Like that is literally what branding is. It's just association. So just being associated with someone else does that. Pretty crazy. But social proof, you want to hammer the heck out of this. Obviously, client stuff is pretty basic, but the peers, the endorsements, the mentors, that's also next level stuff that most people don't do at all. All right, last bucket is your offer. All right, so this could be the big idea of your offer. This could be your guarantee. This could be the framing of it, the pricing structure, benefits that are unique. Your unique mechanism is another one. Let me add that in. Unique mechanism is like your secret sauce, by the way. So it's like basically how, like, what is the secret sauce for someone to get from point A to point B? So like, what's the vehicle they take? So for example, with P90X, their secret sauce was muscle confusion. All right, even like disregard how like valid or not valid at all this is for a moment. Just like purely look at this from a marketing perspective. That was a unique mechanism that no one talked about before. And so when they started marketing this, muscle confusion, it's the reason why you can't lose weight or you can't make progress in the gym, you can't build muscle. People really bought into this. It was new, it was unique. No one's ever heard of it before. And so part of the unique mechanism is just like something new, because most of your market has likely already tried different solutions before and failed. And so when there's a new solution, a new method to getting results, it brings hope. Or think of it like if you've tried a bunch of things and they didn't work, and then there's this new thing, you have a little ounce of hope at least in you, like, oh, well, I haven't tried that thing before. Like maybe it'll work. Maybe it will work. All right, so that's kind of like some of the power behind a unique mechanism as well. So some people hammer this really well in their content, where like, let's say their thing is, fasting, intermittent fasting, for example. There's people, who I can think of right now who just hammer that home in like all their pieces of content. And like, if you actually like watch their content, it's like propaganda. Like it's like you start to believe it like really hard. Like, oh man, well, I mean, I guess like intermittent fasting like is really the best route. Like all this other stuff just doesn't make any sense. It's just like repetition like crazy. All right, so man, like it works like crazy. So that's actually like, we're gonna go over that in a second. But basically, once you do this exercise, you go through like these three buckets: you, social proof, your offer. You really think of, okay, what are your top assets? Like, what are these core things that can really, position you as best possible as the authority in your space? Pin these top assets to your profile so you can put them in your bio somewhere. Could be in your like banner photo. Could be in your pin post. All right, definitely take advantage of your pin post. Most people don't do this at all, but take advantage of that. That's where you can definitely like place a lot of these, because the whole aim here is like everyone who comes across your profile, new followers or even old followers, they see this stuff. Because what happens if they see this stuff, instantly like your who gets elevated. All right. all of a sudden you become more of an authority in the space. So that means every single piece of content that you create, every single offer they make, every single message that you send, people are more receptive to it. There's more influence because of this. Like, it's insane. Like, it really is insane. I keep on bringing up the example of Elon Musk, but he's like, I was like one of the most well-known people in the world. If he like tweets, he's made like stupid tweets before that are memes or jokes of like, I'm on the toilet. He can tweet that and get hundreds of thousands of likes, and then you can tweet that and you'll get nothing. All right, it's all because of this. Like, this is a big reason why. Third thing here, I'm actually going to add on right now, is going to be, oh gosh, I can't type without this. I don't know why this is confusing me so much. So repetition. Repetition is his last one. So if you think of this, like, you can become a propaganda machine. I don't mean that in a negative light. Please, like, don't use this with ill will or negative intentions. Like, please only do this if you have a life-changing service can actually change lives. But repetition. This is like what the news does, and a lot of like the biggest companies in the world do is just propaganda machine. They repeat this message over and over and over again. So for example, you can do this with your unique mechanism, like we talked about. So if your unique method to get results is XYZ, if like 80% of your content, you're constantly reiterating that or embedding it in, talking about it constantly, this is how you literally start to build beliefs in people, is through repetition. All right, that's how a lot of people become, just kind of like zombies, and they just like adopt the beliefs of whatever, news station they watch. They'll just like repeat back exactly like what the anchors say, like word for word, because it's just like, it's brainwashing, it's repetition. They just hear it over and over and over and over again. When you do this, like, what is repeated is remembered. All right, you can literally build beliefs in people by doing this. So it's extremely powerful. It's extremely dangerous as well, obviously, because I'm sure you've seen peers or people that just be completely brainwashed and kind of like end up kind of stupid, or for lack of better words. But that's like the third biggest thing you can do here is repetition. So once you find like your marketing, like what really hits home, just like hammer it over and over and over again. You can also apply repetition to this stuff as well. It's like your transformation story, for example, like you want to repeat that like all the time, like all the freaking time. People don't get tired of it. It's like your favorite movie. Like, think of like your favorite movie ever. Like, you don't get tired of it. Like, you love watching it like more than once. You don't just watch it once and then never watch it again. Like, you watch it again because you love it. Same thing with your story. People really love that stuff, and also it continues to repeat the one of your top assets. So again, it helps your influence here, helps your authority here. So those are the core three things here. If you want to become an overnight authority, do this. Last big thing here, do this properly so every piece of content you make instantly becomes more valuable. Again, it's crazy. Like, if you do this right, like literally, like everything that you do, it just becomes more influential. Every message, every ad you post, all your conversion rates should increase when you do this properly. It's crazy how this works. So go ahead and apply this. If you're an online coach and you want to work together one-on-one to actually build this out in your business and ultimately like really build a consistent system to sign clients every single week for your business, like that's the main thing we do, is just get you a consistent, predictable client acquisition system in your business. Click the link below if you're interested. We have a whole video breaking it down as far as what we do and how it works. So click that link if you're interested, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.